Welcome to the Story Learning Podcast, regular doses of language learning tips and motivation to help you become fluent in any language. With me, Olly Richards. For language programs, books, free resources, and much more, visit StoryLearning.com. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the I Will Teach You a Language podcast. This is the place that you need to tune into twice every week. Yeah, every single week, 2 new episodes about language learning. So if you're learning a language and you want to know how to do it better, well, you're in the right place. Maybe it's not your first rodeo. This is the situation that today's question touches on. All right, without any further ado, let's hear from Denise.
Hello, Olly. I'm Denise from Brazil. How are you doing? I sent you a message last year and I'm here again because I have another question to make. Well, I really want to learn a third language. I was thinking about Italian, but I'm not fluent in my second language yet. It means English. So I would like to know if I should or not start to learn another language, because I know that I will have to make a lot of effort to learn the basic things and then to go to the intermediate level and so on. So yeah, could you help me with that? Thank you.
Hey Denise, thank you so much for your question, and great to have you back for the second time on the podcast. Denise left another question in episode 140. So not that long ago, actually, last year, I think. And that question was about whether or not she was in the right English class. It was quite an interesting question because a lot of us, if you ever studied in a language school before, you will recognize that feeling of wondering whether you're in the right level or not. So Denise, I hope that worked out for you. Thank you for today's question as well. I can see the passion you've got for Italian, and in your own words, you really want to learn Italian. And look, I think the answer is pretty straightforward. If you really want to learn Italian, then you go for it. Seriously, I know I've said it's not good to learn 2 languages at the same time, but who cares what I say? Go for it. Like, if you're that passionate about Italian, then don't let that stop you. Your English is great already. I'm sure you'll keep improving. One of the advantages of learning English as a foreign language is that English is the lingua franca of the entire world, pretty much. So you're always going to keep improving your English. I think when you've got that kind of passion to learn another language, sooner or later you just have to give in and say, okay, fine, I'm just going to learn it. I've done that, myself recently. Last year, I spent a month learning German. I then started learning Thai. And, in many ways, I think those kind of forays into other languages, even though they weren't that serious, probably helped me with my Cantonese because gave me a bit of a break, activated different parts of my brain maybe. And the broader point, I think, is, learning a language takes time. So if it's one of your ambitions to learn Italian, then why not start now? You don't have to go like crazy with it. You don't have to do 3 hours a day. What I would probably suggest for you, Denise, is to start to just do a little bit. Because here's the thing, with Italian, you've got a big advantage because Portuguese and Italian are very closely related. Now, you might not have to do as much study with Italian as you did with English. English was your first foreign language, right? And the first language is always the hardest. The second language is much easier. And the third language is much easier after that, usually. Because you become a better language learner, right? So in this case, not only is Italian your second foreign language, but it's also very closely related to Portuguese. So you might actually find it easier than you think, all right? But what I'd say is keep going with the English, because that's, I think, your main aim from what I gather. But you can just start spending a little bit of time each day just listening and reading to some basic Italian. You don't have to do any speaking or any heavy studying. Just do a little bit here and there with Italian. Like I said, a bit of listening and reading, work your way gradually through a textbook, something like that. You could get my book of Italian short stories. You might, in fact, that would be interesting for you to pick up a copy of my book of Italian short stories for beginners and just try and read it and see how much you can understand. I have a feeling you might understand a lot more than you think. And so just by kind of getting that basic exposure to the language over a period of months, even if it's 15 minutes a day, your brain will start to notice patterns, see how Portuguese and Italian are related, and you might find that you're able to get a good foundation in the language without doing that much study. And then get started now, and then time will just do the rest. There's no need to start learning seriously. You might not start learning seriously for another couple of years. But if you do spend a couple of years now just chipping away at it, putting it on the map, so to speak, then that, I think, will do very well for you over time. And with that passion that you've got, Denise, I don't think you can possibly fail. So I hope that's helpful. What I really want to do is just encourage you. Life's too short to think of all these things you'd love to do for too long without taking action on them. I always kind of think to myself, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that. And then it just gets to a point one day when I think, screw it, I'm just going to do it. Like, whatever, that's just the way it is. So go with it. I hope that was helpful. If you'd like to leave me a question, please go to iwillteachyoualanguage.com/ask. And likewise, if you have benefited from the podcast in any way, why not leave me an iTunes review? I would really like it if you did that. I do read them. And I know it takes you a couple of minutes to do, and you've probably got other things you'd rather be doing, like learning languages. But if you do have a couple of minutes free, I would really appreciate a review on iTunes. And you can do that by simply going to iTunes, the iTunes store, clicking on the podcast tab, searching for I Will Teach You a Language, and then you can leave a review there. I'd love you forever if you did that, and I might read it out on the show as well. At the end of every episode, I'd like to leave you with something related to the topic, and I'm going to give you a quote today because it's been a while since we've had one of them. And this is a quote from Vincent van Gogh. And he said, "I would rather die of passion than of boredom." So on that note, I leave you, and I'll see you back in the next episode of the podcast. Take care.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. And here at Story Learning, everything that I do is powered by stories, whether that's writing books, teaching lessons, crafting courses. My mission is to help everyone succeed at learning a new language through the power of story. And we now have comprehensive language courses in over 15 languages, from Spanish to French, Korean to Japanese, and across all levels from beginner to mastery. And you can take a 7-day free trial of any of these programs by visiting storylearning.com/courses. I've poured my heart and soul into creating these courses over the last 10 or so years, and we've helped tens of thousands of new students achieve their dreams of learning a new language, all through the power of story. So go ahead and take a free trial. There's no commitment. You can try out our method for free. See if this can also be the breakthrough for you that it's been for so many other people. storylearning.com/courses.